Last year we spent a lot of time doing some of the texts for GCSE English literature, and so you studied lots and lots of fiction last year. Sign of Four, Merchant of Venice, Animal Farm. What's the difference between how you approached the text last year and how you have to approach the text in this particular part of the exam?
Last year we already had the books, so...
Linking information and themes from a lesson to previous learning is an important part of helping pupils to understand a whole subject, and can reinforce not just what they're learning, but why they're learning it too. The study of a topic or a text will invariably take more than one lesson, so sometimes the teacher must reinforce that the current lesson follows on from a previous session.
Quite often, poor working memory goes hand in hand with dyslexia and the poor recall of what was learnt before. Quite often in any secondary school, there's a problem of retaining what you learnt from one lesson to the next. But similarly with our students, actually remembering what they did last lesson and building on that is quite difficult because their memory doesn't allow them to do that very easily. So quite often I find with my own teaching, the lessons or aspects of the lesson can be quite formulaic and quite repetitive. But we'll start the lesson with a similar activity that over time builds up the learning, and the repetition enables them to be far more confident and to, over time, retain the things they need to learn. And you have to be aware that you can't take anything for granted. The children might leave the lesson on Tuesday afternoon really understanding a concept, and you can come back in on Wednesday morning and say, right, those things that we learnt yesterday, let's take them and let's build on them. And they've lost them. And you have to just go back and redo elements of it, and just to double check. One of the things that our students say about their experiences in mainstream education is that the sheer pace of learning doesn't take account of people not getting it or forgetting it or not being completely comfortable with something. And so we got the opportunity here at Fruin College to vary the pace where it's appropriate.
Links to previous learning are not just subject-specific. A well-planned cross-curricular approach can ensure that a single topic spans more than one academic subject, and that principles learned in, say, maths or English are applied in other subjects too.
This class, they've done a lot of source work before. They can do the inference side of it. We're now sort of developing those skills, so it's revisiting the previous skill learning from Year 8 and building on that. We're starting to think about reliability. We're also talking about, in English, they're also studying the First World War. So it gives us that opportunity for them to share the knowledge and share the context between two different subjects while they're developing different skills in both those subjects. We do other projects like that throughout the school where 2 or 3 subjects will be all working on the same theme, so they can use that knowledge in lots of areas to really embed the skills in that particular subject area.
B, when we talk about unseen fiction, what do we mean by that?
Like a story normally that we've never seen before.
For learners approaching exams, it's important to remember that the previous learning may even be in a previous year, not just in recent memory.
In the back of my mind, I've got the fact that they've got their GCSE English Literature exam on all those texts they did a year ago. And so in my planning over a week, we touch base with those at a regular basis and just keep reminding ourselves and revisiting them so that we're not going huge amounts of time without referencing a particular text, just to keep the characters, the events, the themes and some of the key aspects of that text just alive in their minds, so that when we come to revise them, they won't have forgotten too much about them.
When making links to previous learning, it's important to remember that the recall and its relevance may be more important than presentation, writing, spelling and so on. Establish the learning links first and worry about handwriting, spelling or grammar later.
So I think at times, we know that our students struggle with their spellings, maybe how they put the sentence together, but there are times where actually the spelling side of it doesn't matter, because what we want them to do is get that confidence in getting information down. And as they progress through the school, we make more and more use of assistive technology so that they can dictate into the computer, and that will type what they are saying to the computer, which overcomes some of those spelling difficulties.
We saw all the weapons, all the machinery they would use.
I think it gives them a huge sense of achievement when they can go into one lesson and think, oh, I know this, I can answer this. You know, and again, a lot of our students have really struggled in school, and they come to us with quite fragile self-esteem, and they often feel that they can't learn, they don't know how to, they always get it wrong, and actually being able to transfer something across several areas does give them a real sense of achievement and things. You know, it was great seeing Ruben last week at the museum. Oh, yeah, I know what that tank is, I know exactly what it is, and he could tell you the names of that tank or that particular weapon, and 9 times out of 10 he was absolutely spot on, and it gave him a real sense of achievement that he knew that information.
So to recap the main points of making links to previous learning. Don't take recall from previous sessions for granted. Link learning across the curriculum, not just within one subject. Remember, you may sometimes have to link back to a previous year. Make the learning links the priority. Worry about presentation later.